Dr. Cherryl Pearson was a graduate of Jackson Central Mary High School in Jackson, Tennessee. After high school, Cherryl went on to Tennessee State University majoring in engineering. And after graduating college, she went on to Meharry Medical School and graduated at the top of her class. Cherryl moved to Memphis, Tennessee in the late 90s to practice medicine. Cheryl's family spoke about how she loved being a pediatrician and became a well-respected pediatrician very quickly. Friends and family stated that Cherryl was a very happy person and they never knew Cherryl to have an enemy. Cherryl was the daughter of Leon and Hazel Pearson. She was the youngest of three siblings. Both of Cheryl's parents were educators. Cherryl was always very accomplished and even played basketball in high school. January 4th, 2002 was a normal day for Cherryl Pearson. Because of her love for basketball, she was a season ticket holder for the Memphis Grizzlies. In 2002, the home of the Memphis Grizzlies was at the downtown Pyramid, which is now the Bass Pro Shop. Reports are that Cherryl attended the game alone, something that she always did. While at the game, Cherryl was in contact with her family members via cell phone. Cheryl's mother stated that when she spoke with Cherryl, she was still at the basketball game. Her mother also stated that Cherryl said to her that she was not feeling well. She told her mom that she was feeling a little lightheaded and may leave the game early. Although she wasn't feeling well, she decided to stay until the end of the game. You see, Cherryl was a severe diabetic and had been since early childhood. According to reports, after the game, Cherryl headed home to her house on Daybreak Drive at around 10:30 p.m. Cheryl's home was located in Bartlett, Tennessee, a suburban area on the outskirts of Memphis. Shortly after arriving to her home, two of Cheryl's friends stopped by for a visit. The three women chatted until about 1 a.m. in the morning. Cherryl then told her friends that she needed to go to bed because she was going to be watching her sister's children the next morning. Her friends then left, and that would be the last time that they would see Dr. Cherryl Lamont Pearson. Cheryl's sister, Lorinda Hildred, arrived at Cheryl's home around 7 a.m. with her children, and her children were so excited to be spending time with their aunt. Lorinda was alarmed when Cherryl didn't answer the door. It was completely out of Cheryl's character to forget that she was supposed to watch her nieces and nephews. Lorinda started to look around Cheryl's property and realized that her car wasn't there. This was very troubling because Cherryl was an insulin-dependent diabetic. Lorinda feared that Cherryl may have passed out and had a wreck while driving. She immediately called the Bartlett, Tennessee Police Department and reported her 37-year-old sister missing. Bartlett police immediately knew that they was dealing with something more sinister. Cherryl was a well-respected pediatrician and would never go missing voluntarily. The mere fact that she was a chronic diabetic made the situation even more urgent. When Leon and Hazel Pearson learned that their daughter Cherryl was missing, they immediately left their home in Jackson, Tennessee, and headed to Cheryl's house. They used their own set of keys to get into her home. Although they saw nothing to indicate that any kind of struggle had taken place, they did find Cheryl's mobile phone and her pager sitting on her dining room table. Cherryl was on call that weekend, and it would have been highly unusual for her to go anywhere without taking her phone and her pager in case a patient needed her. After searching her home more, they found something even more disturbing. Cherryl had left her insulin and all of her diabetic supplies behind, something she never would have done unless she expected to be gone only for a short amount of time. Cheryl's mother, Hazel, became immediately upset and concerned about her daughter's health. Cherryl had called her while she was watching the Grizzlies game and complained that she was feeling weak and lightheaded. Although Cherryl appeared to be fine when her friends saw her later that night, it was possible that she had been experiencing fluctuations in her blood sugar that led her to become disoriented, and it had her mother especially concerned. When the other doctors and colleagues from Cheryl's medical practice learned that she was missing, they quickly rushed to aid in the search effort. They had flyers printed up and spent the weekend distributing them throughout the area. They asked each person they encountered to be on the lookout for Cheryl and her blue Audi. They also started a reward fund offering $10,000 for information leading to Cheryl's safe return. Detectives was able to access Cheryl's phone records and saw that someone had called her at around 1:58 a.m. Saturday morning, about an hour after her friends had left her home. The call had been made from a Citgo gas station just a few minutes away from her home and had lasted for only a few seconds after Cheryl answered. Although they had no idea who had placed the phone call, investigators believed it was possible that Cheryl had voluntarily left her home shortly after getting the call, then ran into foul play while out. The weekend passed and not a word from Cheryl. Her parents and family was deeply concerned. The first potential break in the case came around 7 a.m. Monday morning when Cheryl's car was found. The blue Audi had been left in the parking lot of a nearby apartment complex on Egypt Central Road. Detectives was unable to determine how long the car had been sitting there. Crime scene technicians thoroughly processed the Audi, hoping to find some kind of clue that would point to Cheryl's whereabouts. It didn't appear that anything was missing from the car. Cheryl's medical bag, which contained her car keys and $140 in cash, was found locked in the trunk. Whoever had driven the car last had apparently scrubbed it clean before leaving it in the parking lot, as technicians were unable to find a single fingerprint to include Cheryl's. Detectives got hard at work to interview everyone that had been a part of Cheryl's life, hoping that one of them might hold the key to solving the mystery of her disappearance. Friends noted that Cheryl had seemed completely normal in the hours before she went missing. They had not seen anything to indicate Cheryl had been frightened or upset. She had mentioned that she needed to get up early to watch her sister's children, but that's it. She had also mentioned to her friends how excited she was to get to spend time with her nieces and nephews. Other doctors and colleagues of Cheryl's told detectives that Cheryl had not been having any problems in her professional life. She had a reputation for being an excellent doctor who truly cared about her patients. As police detectives continued the process of interviewing Cheryl's friends and family, they realized that at least one person that she had an association with had a less than pristine criminal record. Her brother-in-law, Charles Hildreth, had been arrested for armed robbery and was out on bail during the time of Cheryl's disappearance. Although there was no evidence to prove that he was in any way involved in Cheryl's disappearance, detectives became very suspicious when they learned that his wife, Lorinda, which is Cheryl's sister, had been named the beneficiary of Cheryl's $150,000 life insurance policy. Detectives never gave an indication that they suspected Lorinda, her sister, of being involved in her disappearance, but they interrogated her sister's husband, Charles, on several different occasions. Although he had an alibi for the night of his sister-in-law's disappearance, detectives admitted that they were entirely uncomfortable with his inconsistencies in his stories. Despite this, Charles has never been named as a suspect in Cheryl's disappearance, and her parents do not believe that he had anything to do with it. Through the years, investigators have conducted several physical searches for Cheryl, but have never been able to come up with any evidence as to what might have happened to her. The person who called Cheryl's house at 1:58 a.m. that morning has never been identified. Although detectives believe that the phone call was somehow linked to Cheryl's disappearance, they just cannot prove it. They still have no idea if Cheryl left her home voluntarily that morning or if she was taken from her home by someone. It's possible that the mystery caller somehow lured her out of her house. It's also possible that it was someone calling to see if she was at home. Eventually, after many years of being missing, Cheryl's parents made the painful decision to have her declared legally dead. Several years back, I became interested in Cheryl's cold case myself. I reached out to her mom in Jackson, Tennessee, and identified myself as a private investigator that works with other teams of PIs on cold cases. I told her that I had come across Cheryl's cold case and would love to reignite the flame in her case if she didn't mind. To my surprise, her mother seemed to become upset on the other end of the phone and said, "I do mind." As I started to speak with her about why I wanted to reignite the flames in this case, she suddenly started to speak to me about how she had grandchildren and she wanted to protect them. She stated no matter what happened, it couldn't bring Cheryl back, and she had to look out for her grandchildren. With her mother started to cry on the other end of the phone when I told her that I had met Cheryl once when I had taken my youngest daughter to the pediatrician, and how friendly she was and very sweet. Her mother stated that Cheryl had loved her job so much and that she had loved children. She went on to state how Cheryl's disappearance had taken a toll on her father's health, and at this point she just wanted to protect her grandchildren. I ended the conversation with, "I respect how you feel, and you all are in my prayers." Detectives believe that there are people in the community who knows exactly what has happened to Cheryl, and they hope they will come forward with this information so that Cheryl's family can have peace and give her a proper burial. If anyone knows what has happened to Dr. Cherryl Lamont Pearson, please contact the Bartlett Police Department. Let's help to bring Cheryl home and to give her family peace.